The man behind me who needs no introduction, we are in his house. Give it up for Johnny Cutt!
We're live.
Live. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Hey, we'll do it live. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and with me today is the boss himself, the manager, the overall showrunner of Hooligans Music Hall, Mr. Johnny Cutt.
What up?
How you doing, man? It's good to see you.
It's a little chilly out, man. You saw me when I walked in. I was wearing like some shorts, so it was kind of cold. I didn't expect it to get that cold on me that quick, but all good. Otherwise, I'm doing fine, man. Hope you are.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Cool.
having a blast. I'm ready for the weekend.
Me too.
So let's just get right into it. Your official job description is talent buyer, general manager of Hooligans Music Hall.
Yep.
Now, to the layman fan like me who doesn't know exactly what that means, what exactly do those jobs entail, and what do you do on a day-to-day?
So basically, I think we were talking about this before we started filming here. I got a lot of different jobs, or I have a lot of different jobs within those two kind of generalized titles. Being a general manager is kind of like anywhere else, any other business, whether it be a restaurant, retail, anything really. Is this? I'm generally managing the club. That goes along the lines of making sure staff is scheduled, making sure payroll or payouts are issued at the end of the night. Just general scheduling. Jesse, I'm not sure if you've met Jesse, but he's the other manager here. He kind of handles a lot of the other things as far as operational, ordering liquor, ordering beer, make sure that the club is generally maintained up and running kind of stuff, whereas I handle more of the staff and the day-to-day as far as opening and closing for events. So there's nothing glamorous about that at all. I fill out paperwork at the end of the night, make sure the staff's doing their jobs, making sure everything's cool, handle customer complaints or questions, which can be a bit annoying at times, but it's such as anything else, man. You have to deal with it the best that you can. As far as the talent buyer side, it's essentially what it sounds like, a talent buyer. All the talent that you see come on the stage, I'm responsible for brokering those deals. Now, the owner of the club, he obviously is the legitimate buyer when it comes down to it, because it's not my money, it's the business's money, which is ultimately his money, but I am basically his representative. And so when agents reach out, or I reach out to agents, that's kind of that position's title. Mm-hmm. I make sure that the deals go through. I negotiate the deals with the different agents or the bands, or whoever may be the person in charge of booking that band. And yeah, that's basically it, talent buying. And then I just, at the end of the night, what's not included on those titles is like a production manager or an event manager, really. So what a production manager would do is be somebody that kind of, from the point of it being booked, will reach out to the artists or the artist tour manager or the artist team and make sure that we are prepared and have everything that they need to do the show to their standards, and vice versa. Making sure that there's nothing we need to go pick up, or making sure there's nothing that we need to bring in extra, or making sure that we know what they're bringing so we can all be on the same page when they arrive. And I have a good team of audio engineers here that kind of assist with that. I kind of take the lead, and then I pass it off to them, and they kind of make it happen from there. Event management's kind of the same thing, but on the opposite side of things, ticketing. Making sure that ticketing links are up, making sure that websites are updated, making sure that, when you come through the door, the people know what's going on as far as the staff's concerned. Hospitality for the artists, there's a ton of things, man. I could sit here and talk for the whole duration of this interview about exactly what goes into that. But yeah,
please do.
That's my job, man. I just make sure that things happen on the event side of things and the business side of things as far as how the club runs.
And as you've kind of revealed, you wear a lot of hats. You've done a lot of different things throughout your career. Anyone that takes a look at your Instagram page can just see that much.
Yeah, I got a lot of archive too, so there's not everything that you see there. There's some stuff that's not there, just it clutters it up, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the music industry, there is a bit of glamour outside looking in that people perceive. But at the end of the day, it is still a business. So I imagine that to get to where you are now, there was some sort of corporate ladder to climb. So how exactly did you get your start in this industry?
Yeah, I guess the corporate ladder is the sticking it to the man way of saying, things, I guess. Basically, how I got my start, man, is how most people did, I like to think. Maybe there's a few exceptions to that rule, but I just started off playing in bands, man. I was young, middle school, maybe grade school, whenever I started, like, actively becoming more and more interested in playing music and being a part of a band and a group of people that had the same kind of mindset. So I think, I want to say the 5th grade was when I really kind of started getting into it. And I had some friends in school that one guy played guitar, somebody played bass, somebody can sing, and I could play drums. We are all terrible, but you started somewhere, and that's kind of where it began, and then it grew into, becoming in more and more bands, playing with more and more people, becoming better at what I do or what I did, and kind of just putting ourselves out into the circuit. Then we started going to places kind of like Hooligans. Hey, let's play there. We want to play. How do we do this? How do we do that? And to me, it became more and more interesting about how that process happened. So I kind of started paying more and more attention to it. But it wasn't really until, I want to say probably about 10 years ago now, 2012. For some reason, that's the date that sticks out in my mind. I had been in a band around 2009, 10, maybe until a little bit of 11. And then I just kind of said, fuck it, man, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. For whatever reason that may have been, I kind of regret it now because I could have been a lot further, maybe on the musical side of things. Maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe it was the best thing, who knows? Only time could tell. But I just remember sitting there, and I finally was like, man, I am so blah, man. Like, I want to do something, and I wanted to be music related. And so at the time, I didn't really have anything going on as far as playing with anybody or wanting to really play with anybody. So I said, man, I'm just going to start a Facebook group or a Facebook page and just going to promote my friends. And maybe I'll put together a few shows. So that's kind of how it started, man. And I started attaching myself to different groups of people that I liked, that I was friends with, and started trying to push those to different avenues. And it kind of just grew and grew and grew until we were talking about the 3 bands for $3 thing here for Wednesday nights. So I think it was Ryan Stevens at the time. He was here. Maybe it was still Aaron. I'm not sure. I think it was Ryan, though. Mm-hmm. Ryan and Jesse. Jesse's been here from the whole time. But I approached him. I was like, man, I really want to just put together some shows. I don't care about getting paid. It ain't about that. I just want to be a part of this community. I want to put together a few of my friends on stage, and let's go from there. And so they're like, yeah, man, why don't you just book the local shows on Wednesday? And I was like, cool. So I did that. And then, if anybody that's watching this later, whenever you release it, they'll be able to go and chime in and be like, yeah, man, we remember hanging out with a lot of the Wake and Terra guys, just a lot of the old locals that you still see around once in a while. We used to this is where we were on Wednesdays, man. Hanging out, just building a camaraderie, building the scene. I know a lot of people have been talking about the scene a lot in the Facebook land lately. I'm sure you've been privy to some of those. A little bit. But that's kind of where it started flowering as far as being in this role, and being a talent buyer, general manager, promoter, whatever you want to call it. From there, I guess getting into the touring side of things, it kind of goes hand in hand because I met a lot of people by booking and promoting and doing events. And it's funny that I had a friend of mine who lived in Wilmington at the time when I was doing the 3 bands, $3 here, and he introduces me, or he comes to me and he says, hey, man, I got this really cool club down in Wilmington that just opened up. I think you should come check it out. It's really cool. So I went down there and saw some friends play, and he introduces me to the owners of this club, and he says, hey, guys, this is Johnny. He books Hooligans. There's no sort of separation between what he books at Hooligans, because at the time I wasn't booking any of the big stuff. I was just booking the local bands, right? The regional bands, friends. Maybe once in a while somebody would hit me up saying, hey, we know you book at Hooligans, and it'd be some small band trying to get their foot in, and I'd be like, hey, whatever, come on. So at this point, the extent of my booking was very small. But to these people, all they heard was, hey, he books at Hooligans, and they know Hooligans brings big bands. So they said, hey, man, can you bring some big bands here? And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. No way. I can do that, no problem. Didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing, dude. It's funny, man, but like, dude, the saying goes, what was the adage? Is fake it till you make it.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't skip a beat. I was just like, yeah. I'll start working on it right now. And so that's what I did. And I reached out to a few people that I thought knew a few people, and it worked. And I booked a few small bands, down there, putting together some things, making sure everything was cool. And then, ironically enough, and the ironic thing about this is because they've been a staple in my coming of age in this industry, it was my first band that I ever booked in the world was Saliva. I booked Saliva for my first show as a national, which at the time was a massive deal. It was like, man, for me, at that level of not ever doing it, and then there you go, and it's they're a platinum selling band, Grammy nominated. They've got all these hits, regardless of where they are and what people think of them. That was a big band for me. Mm-hmm. And to that club, it was a huge band, and so that kind of really set the tone for what I was doing. And I booked that, and then next thing I know, I'm booking like Saving Abel, which is another one of those bands that, for that club and for that. For me in my career was another massive step. And it just kind of started doing that, spinning some wheels. I'm getting some traction. And next thing I know, my friend Aaron Flaherty, who booked here for a long time, probably a lot of the shows that you guys saw here was probably booked by Aaron. And he was working at a place called Ziggy's by the Sea down in Wilmington. And I'll say it right now, I credit Aaron to a lot of why and a lot of how. When it pertains to me doing what I'm doing on the promoter and talent buyer side of things, he really kind of set me up for success, kind of helped me pave the way for myself. Because while I was down there, he gives me a call. He's like, hey, man, I really need somebody to come help me out here at Ziggy's. I need like a marketing assistant, somebody that can come in and help, And so that's what I did. They offered me a salary, and I said, fuck it. I was working like a regular job as well as promoting at the time. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just go do that. So I started doing that, learning a lot from Aaron as far as marketing's concerned, promoting's concerned, how to book shows, kind of started refining what I do. And it got to a point to where he was stepping away, and he kind of just tosses me the keys. He's like, all right, man, here you go. And I was like, fuck, here we go again. I have to figure it out, have to take what I've learned to this point and just apply it and push myself a little further. So I did it again, and that's what we're doing now. I'm the guy that's booking the stuff at Ziggy's, and it grows and grows and grows until that part of that chapter kind of closes, and then I think I go back to just doing some freelance stuff, and I start working at UPS of all places. I'm working there. I got hired on as like a holiday helper, Mm-hmm. The guys that go in there and just throw stuff out of a truck. Yep. Have you done it?
Nope.
Okay, don't. I will say though, if you're looking to like have a steady career, like a normal, what you would consider like a normal person job, it's not a bad gig, And if you're willing to work and put in the hours and put in actually working physically, it's a physically demanding job. Then that's a good one, man. Holiday help, and if you do really good, they'll hire you on, and that's what happened to me. I went in and I busted ass, made some money, showed everybody that I was there to work. After the holiday season was done, everybody got let go except for a handful of people. I was one of those people, so I stayed on, and it sucked. Fuck that. But, not everybody's like me. Some people might enjoy that structure and that stability. But I bring that up to bring up this next part as far as touring is concerned. While I was at that smaller club in Wilmington, I met a band called Screaming for Silence. And at the time, they had a guy named Josh Toro. He played bass. He was just filling in for the tour. They're not a very big band, but they've got some notoriety out in the Midwest. They're from, I want to say Omaha, Nebraska. Sorry, Zeb and Casey and Dan, if I got that wrong. I want to say they're from out that way. And anyways, booked them at the club. It was a small show. Not really a whole bunch of people showed up, but I treated them really well. And that's one thing that I've always tried to strive on, is treating everybody, with respect and with, dignity. And it doesn't always translate, but I always do the best that I can with what I have. And so for some reason or another, it translated to them. And Josh specifically, who, like I said, was playing bass for him at the time, gives me a call kind of out of the blue. We kind of kept in touch. He's like, hey, man, I'm putting together this tour, and there's about 3 or 4 guys in the whole country that I really trust or want to bring in to work on this tour with me, and you're one of those people. because of how you treated me and because of how you treated the guys, and we really appreciated it. And I was like, wow, man, cool. What is it? And it happened. It's funny, and you're gonna laugh, but my first professional tour. Now, stop right there. I had toured like a little bit with just different bands, you know, maybe some of the Wake and Terror guys, or I don't know if you remember, there was a band called Against Their Will.
Yep.
Okay, so those are all some of my best friends, and I toured around with them just regionally, you know, maybe go up to New York or something, you know, or go down to South Carolina, you know, Georgia, whatever it might have been. So I'd done a little bit. So my touring experience is very, very amateur at best. So when he calls me and he tells me this, I'm excited because I've never done it and to that level. So I ask him what it is, and it's for a group called Magic Men Live, which is a male revue, a male strip show. and it's funny, but that was, to this date, still one of the biggest tours that I've ever done, as far as a standalone artist and a consistent tour and the venues and the level of which, you know, how many people were coming to these events. Now, I'm sure you probably haven't gone to a male revue.
No,
No?
I can't say I have.
You'll be surprised. Some of them are actually a lot of fun, you know, for whatever you want to say. It's whatever. Some of the production value of some of these shows is actually pretty top notch. Especially this one. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but the job that I was going to be given was to be like a production assistant. And so what I was going to be doing every day, come to find out, was going to be building a video wall. And so this tour was only doing like 1,500 cap seated theaters or bigger. And that's where I really kind of learned how to do, you know, touring. And I kind of got my foot in there and really saw what it took to do, you know, day to day, building a show from start to finish, setting it up, tearing it down, packing it up, going to the next, doing it all over again. And so from there I kind of grew, and then I started feeling comfortable to put myself into opportunities. And I quit that job at UPS. Basically, I put in my 2 weeks notice, and I don't think I ever showed back up after I put the notice in. I was like, here's 2 weeks. I'll work the rest of these 2 weeks, and I'm not coming back. And then I just didn't show back up. Which, don't do that.
See ya.
Don't do that. Can't see me. Don't do that, kids. Don't do that. Be
Stay in
respectful.
school.
Stay in school. Don't do drugs. But, you know, it worked out. It doesn't always work out. For me, fortunately, it did, because then I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I continued finding opportunities. Coincidentally enough, Saliva was my next tour. So the guys that I had first booked as my big show now became my first big band tour. And I worked my way there, and I was selling merchandise. I was just doing kind of whatever. And I became their tour manager and stayed with them for a couple years. Kind of goes up from there, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Long-winded story. Sorry, but that's kind of how I got my start.
Dude, I'm so
the rest is
invested
history,
in
man.
this.
Hey, man. I'm a wealth of knowledge to a select few people.
I feel like I need to do several interviews with you just to hear all the stories. Like, we could do a podcast series or something, because
Hey, man.
I'm so interested.
I've got. You can ask Chris Vance. I've got a ton of stories, mindless stories, stupid stories. I can go for days and days and days and days. So yeah, we can set up a round two if you like.
Hey, let's do it.
Pardon me. All right.
So kind of backtracking a little bit, you were talking about your time being in bands. What instruments did you play, and what got you wanting to be a musician? Was it a certain band, a certain song you heard?
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess to answer the first part of that question, I play drums primarily. I've always been a drummer ever since I was young, maybe toddler age, man. I remember my dad having a drum kit and always just being available to play. And that's kind of what I fell in love with. I'm not very good, but I really enjoy it, man. So that's kind of what I stuck with, you know, growing up. I always had a drum kit. And when I got to like middle school age, again, bringing that back up, I started playing in the school band as well. And originally I went out to like middle school band and I was like, I'm going to play the clarinet. I don't know why. I was just like, fuck it, man. I can play drums whenever. I'll try something different. And I remember my mom, she was just like, why the fuck do you want to play the clarinet? You play drums. You already have those. Just play those. We don't want to have to buy no other bullshit. And I was like, wow, I don't know. Like, and the band director was like really adamant that everybody to not do drums. He wanted the drums to be like, you can't play anything else. Here's some drums, you know? And I understood, like later down the road, I'm like, man, that's kind of disrespectful to the drums, man. It ain't just a second choice. That shit's fun. But when you can't, play trumpet or saxophone or trombone or any of that shit because you don't have the mechanics of, it's hard. I don't know if you ever played any of those instruments.
I was a trumpet player.
Okay, so you get it.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard having to purse the lips and the wind it takes, the lung strength. It's hard. So that's why the drums and like percussion instruments were always like a secondary option. Like, okay, you can't do anything else. Here, hit this with a stick. You can do that, I hope. Some people still couldn't do that. And that's fine. Not everybody's made out to be musicians. I like to sit in the gray area. I'm kind of there, I'm kind of not. So I just picked up playing drums, played at middle school, and then our band director he kind of switched back and forth between high school and middle school. He was middle school during the day, and then he would go do high school band later in that afternoon. He's kind of split roles between both schools. And I remember me, my friend Jeremy, and my friend Derek, he pulled us up from we were like 7th grade at the time. He pulls us up to go play with the high school marching band. And that's where I kind of like, all right, here I am again having to do like stuff beyond my capability. It seems to always be the case now that I start talking about these things.
I'm noticing a trend. Yeah.
I don't realize it until I start talking. Like, man, I'm always unknowingly at the time pushed further and further with what I'm doing currently or what I was doing at the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so drums, man, I kind of just did that, stuck with it. Played drums, like I said earlier, played in different bands growing up, at different levels. Some of them were good, some of them weren't, and it's just what it was, and had a lot of fun. I've played in rock bands, I've played in metal bands, I've played in, I don't even know what some of those bands were, but we played in them, Yeah, and then what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry, I got wrapped up in what I played. I forgot the other one.
What made you want to become a musician?
That's it. What made me dude, I don't know, man. I guess you could say my dad, but fuck that guy. There's a whole other story. You sent me the list, and I was kind of reading over it, so I kind of had some thoughts prepared. I guess my dad played, and I really just kind of wanted to do that. I fell in love with it after the fact too. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't necessarily always about my dad did it, I want to do it. Yeah, that's it. I fell in love with. We spoke about this earlier too. I love Creed.
Yep.
I discovered Creed when I was in middle school, and it just kind of became one of my favorite bands. Still is. I still listen to all their songs. Still listen. I mean, it's on my playlist. I did my Spotify 2022 Wrapped. Creed is on my top 5. Fuck you guys.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck what y'all say about it. I don't care.
I respect it.
Hey, man. It takes balls to stand up for what you like these days, man, and that's what I like. So,
yeah.
Suck my balls. I don't know. Can I say that on your show?
I don't care what you say on my show.
I'll fucking suck my balls. Country as fuck. I wore this shirt just for this interview, by the way.
Oh my gosh, I love it. This is the best interview I've done so to this day.
One thing you're gonna notice about me, man, when I'm allowed, I am respectful, but when I'm allowed, I'll just kind of take the censor bar off, man. I don't care. I say how it is.
On this channel, you have complete free reign.
This channel? I can't drop the mic. That's bad luck. You ain't supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's the one exception. You can't do that.
Okay, I won't do that. Sorry. So that's basically it, man. Creed, I guess, my dad, and then just general love of doing what I was doing and growing into the roles that I find myself in now.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So going into Hooligans, I mean, you bring so many different genres here. You bring rappers. I'm here for the metal shows and the rock shows, but even that is a broad genre in itself. So personally, do you have a favorite to listen to or to see live? Do you have a preference, or do you just like everything?
Man, so I want to say this, and I'm going to say this very delicately, hopefully. And I have this conversation with Jesse and the owners as well, because whenever I get a show pitched, about 50% of the time I kind of have free reign and book what I think makes sense. Other parts of the time when it's something a little bit more expensive or something I don't necessarily know a lot about or something that I feel like maybe somebody else could weigh in, have more opinions on than I would, we always take it to the table. And a lot of times it's either send back to me like, hey man, you know what's best, go ahead, or I don't know, it's kind of expensive, we're not sure, or if it's something in a totally different genre, they're like, I don't know, I don't like that. And then that brings me to the point of saying things like, well, it's not necessarily about what we like in this industry and this job specifically, because if I'd be totally real, if I only booked what I liked, we wouldn't have any shows. You know, there'd be a handful. You know, and I say that with all due respect. I don't mean any ill will towards anybody, but if I only booked the things that I really truly enjoyed, like hands down, there wouldn't be a lot of them. So I have to take what I get pitched and what I seek out, and I have to study it, make sure it makes sense, and make sure that I know it's a sellable product from the business side of the things. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So who exactly do you take pitches from? I may or may not be asking for a
No.
friend.
A lot of times with the bigger stuff, it's bigger agencies. Maybe not necessarily even bigger ones. They're just, think of like, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it to, like, for layman's terms. When you go to a car dealership, right? You go out there and there's usually like 5 or 6 guys that come and try to sell you a car. Think of something like that. There's different dealerships. You can go to a Honda dealership, you can go to a Chevy, you can go to a Ford dealership. Think about that. Those are different agencies. And those different agencies have different bands. And then there's a bunch of salesmen that put together tours. They kind of go on a little spreadsheet or whatever it is they use, a map, and they kind of plan out a tour. Maybe they've got a big offer somewhere, and all right, so this city, we got a big money day. Now we got to make sure we can get to and from that city, or we're routing a tour. And then they go around and they find guys like me, or they find clubs or promoters, and they send out emails. Hey man, we've got, so and so coming through the area in this date range. Can you give us the available dates that you have? And then we start working from there. That's kind of how it works. So agencies and agents, and then there's a lot of DIY bands that do it themselves, like Caskey, for instance. Being excited for a show, I'm really excited for that. I'm a big Caskey fan. He's right there. He's 127.
Yep.
January 27th, Caskey. He's on my Spotify top 5 as well.
Really?
Oh, dude, big fan. He texted me just straight up. He's like, hey man, let's put together a show. I was like, okay. So he's very DIY. He does it himself for the time being. He's looking for agents and stuff to represent him. But 9 times out of 10, it's somebody coming to me or coming to the club's email saying, hey, this is what we got. Let's work on it. And then we make it work.
So that kind of brought me to my next question, which you may or may not have already answered at this point.
Sure, I kind of ramble a lot. I'm sorry.
I'm the same way, especially when it comes to music. I'm such
Sure.
a nerd. So what exactly goes into booking a show? Do you always have to wait for someone's agent to contact you? Do you reach out to different tour managers? What exactly is that process like?
It's kind of a combination of both. Sometimes a big portion of the time, agents are hitting me up or hitting us up. Not necessarily me as in like I'm the guy, but I'm in this region. I'm one of the buyers that's probably in their database. And so they email saying, like I just said, hey, we've got so-and-so coming through the area in this time frame, what works out best. There are occasions where I'll reach out to agents and I'll start asking for things, like, hey, you represent so-and-so, and let's work out. I really like to have a date with these guys, or I would really want to put something together, so it can go either way. And the same thing on any other level. It's, local bands even, they'll hit us up. Hey, we want to play your club, or I'll reach out to them saying, hey, I've got a package coming through that has slots available for you to open. And then I'll reach out to bands that I know. That's a lot of times we see local bands on bills. It's because I've reached out to them because I've got a slot, or I've got 2 slots, or however many it might be, and I know that band might be a good fit or might be interested in the opportunity, and then I'll work out a deal with them to put them on shows.
So, like we said earlier, you wear a lot of different hats, and especially just for this venue alone. We haven't even talked about you going to other venues like High Point,
right?
All these other places. So what is your day-to-day schedule like at work?
Well, it depends on the day. It's hard to say. I would if I could take like a show day. So if I have an event that day, typically my day is going to revolve around what time we've discussed. Now with a tour manager is different than a booking agent. I know you just said when I reach out to tour managers. So a tour manager, which is something I've also done, is the person who's handling like the day-to-day on tour with the band, and usually is the person that after you talk to the agent, probably be the next person you talk to. So once the agent sets it up, it's confirmed, it's booked.
Okay.
A lot of times there's a publicist involved. Here's all your flyers, here's all your artwork, here's things that we want you to use when we set up interviews with radios or stuff like that. But the tour manager is usually right there, right in that same vein, and we'll discuss the band's schedule as far as for the day. When do they want to get in, when they want to load in, when they'll set up, when they'll sound check, all that stuff. So my day kind of starts based on that. So if it's a show day and the band wants to get here at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm usually here about 8 o'clock. And then I usually have my production team in here about 8 or 9 o'clock, so we can make sure that everything's up and running, ready to go for when that band gets here at 10 o'clock. From there, kind of just I'm around. Kind of, like I said, I wear many hats, so I'm dabbling in, general manager stuff. I'm dabbling in production manager stuff. I'm kind of just dabbling in event manager stuff. I'm kind of all over the place. But 9 times out of 10, if there's a show, I'm here from a couple hours before that band's here to, we're closed and everything's cleaned up, and I'm usually the last guy out. Now, a non-show day, it's way more relaxed. Outside of the club side of things, because we're open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, whether or not there's a concert or not. So, for instance, like tonight, Thursday, we open at 8, so I'm usually here about 7 anyways. Just kind of make sure that when the staff's getting here at 7 to open up for 8, that's a whole other story. That's a little it's really relaxed because it's just a plug and play at that point.
Yep.
On other days like Mondays and Tuesdays, or days I don't have anything going on at the club, it's kind of up in the air. I'm kind of on my own schedule. Sometimes I'll sleep till fucking 2, 3 in the afternoon. Sometimes I got shit to do. I get up at 6, 7, 8. And depends on what I got going on. I usually I do a lot of the clerical things, like the event manager stuff I was talking about, like making ticket links, updating websites. I kind of do that from home or from wherever I may be, on my phone or on my laptop. I just whip it out and do stuff like that. Or I'm always answering emails. I'm always answering phone calls, kind of just whenever. So it's kind of at my own schedule.
That's
to
the
answer your
dream
question.
right there.
Dude, it's got its perks. It's got its downsides too, so don't let it fool you. It's not all glitz and glamour, man.
Yeah, it's still a business at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like we said.
One time I was trying to sleep in until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and somebody called me at 1. That was annoying.
Oh my gosh.
First world problems. I get it.
First world problems. Oh man. So you've been in so many different parts of the industry, from graphic design to tour management.
Yep.
What's one piece of advice you would give to someone looking to get into this industry, regardless of what facet?
Sure. I guess this is something I tell people all the time. If you see an opportunity, seize the opportunity. You don't know how many you're going to get or when the next one's going to come. So when you're able and within your means, sometimes the risk can pay off. Sometimes it can't. So don't take it, as 100%. Like, if you do this, it's going to work out. It might not be the case for you, or might not be the case for your situation. But if you find something that you enjoy, do it the fullest, like to the fullest, to the max, like 100, 1,000%, man. Like, take it and run with it, because this industry will chew you up and spit you out. It's done that a lot. You have to make sure that you're really wanting to be in this industry. Sometimes people think it's something that it's not, or they get into it and they decide this maybe not for them. So maybe do your research, maybe make sure it's something that you want to pursue. And once you finally pursue it and you get that taste of it, if it's something that you want to do, full speed ahead, man. And if it's something you don't, that's cool. You want to keep it as a hobby, just kind of pull back, but always make sure that you got yourself taken care of. That's the best thing I can say to anybody, man. Just, dip your toe in the water, and if it's something you like, jump in, man.
Those are some wise words.
Hey, I studied all day trying to find the right way to say that.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time and offering this
man.
perspective, because interviewing the bands is one thing, and hearing from musicians, we all look up, music's such a big part of our
Sure.
lives. But I've always been curious about what the business side of it, whether it's running a venue, running a record label. So this has been a really fun experience.
Right on, man.
I'm learning so much right now. And we're gonna have to set up a part 2, maybe a part 3 later down the line.
I'm available for as many as you like, man.
I appreciate it. But now it's time for my favorite part of the interview, and that is
shit.
the speed round.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we had to take our clothes off or something.
I got 10 questions. It's meant to be a bit of a rapid fire, but you can elaborate as much or
Sure.
as little as you want.
Hit me with them.
Favorite show you've ever put on?
None.
Final answer?
Final answer, man. Like, I've got favorite shows, and none of them are ever the ones that I've put on. I put on some good ones. Don't get me wrong, and I've got some that I've really enjoyed, but it's not my favorite.
Okay. Favorite band to work with?
New Year's Day. Some of my best friends, and that's the only reason why. I enjoy the music too, but
They're
my
pretty
best
good.
friends. Shout out Ash, shout out Nikki, Tommy, Jared.
We love you, New Year's
Todd's
Day.
in there, Squirrel's in there now too, Brandon, Jeremy, all of you guys.
The person or situation that made you want to pursue live entertainment / promotion as a career, which you probably
I
already
kind of touched on that, man. There's not really one person specifically. Shout out to people like Ryan, people like Aaron Flaherty, Ryan Stevens, Aaron Flaherty, Jesse. Jesse's kind of become a really tight homie. Any of the people that I've ever worked with in a positive way and have shed light or experience or knowledge on me in any way, those are all people that I'm thankful for, that have probably put me in the position that I'm in to keep me moving forward.
Right on. Favorite tour memory?
It's a lot of those.
I can't wait to hear this answer.
To give you a rapid fire question, favorite tour memory, I think most recently is giving Todd the opportunity to meet one of his idols, Zakk Wylde. We were playing at Aftershock in Sacramento, California, and Todd, which is the resident sound engineers here, I took him on tour to be the sound engineer for New Year's Day. And he, if anybody doesn't know Todd's a massive Black Label Society fan, massive Zakk Wylde fan in general. And Black Label Society and Zakk Wylde were playing at the festival. And, you know, you see when you're at these festivals, sorry, it's going to be longer than a rapid fire question.
Take
When
your
you're at some of
time.
these festivals, you see a lot of these prolific icons. You know, you're seeing Amy Lee, you're seeing Jack Black, you're seeing, you know, Tobias Forge from Ghost, you're seeing all these next level artists, and they're kind of just like this, you know, just hanging out. So a lot of them, you know, going to catering, or you see them going to the media tent. So Todd, like I said, was a huge fan. We're going to go to catering for some dinner, and catering is just the giant tent, you know, really nice catering setup. And as we're walking in, we see Zakk Wylde's in there hanging out doing his thing, and I immediately just stop and I'm like, Todd, all right, listen, I need you to chill the fuck out, because I know he's a super fan, right? And that's cool. I'm so happy that, you know, that's what he is all about, and I really wanted him to have that experience, but the professional side of me was like, I want you to have this experience in the right way, professionally. I don't want you to freak out. And not that he was going to, but I just had
Fair warning.
I had a, you know, all right, son, listen, you know, Daddy says you gotta, you know, it was fun. But anyway, he's like, all right, man, I'll keep it together. And we go in and we get our food and we go sit down, and we walk past Zakk and we sit down at the table, and we're sitting there, and Todd is like about to burst, dude. It's visible just how like he's like blowing up like a balloon, like he can't like hold himself together. And we're sitting there, right? And I was like, you want to go take a picture with him, man? You know, he's like, no, I don't want to be that guy. And I was like, well, give me your phone. So he gives me his phone, and I'm sitting at the table, right? We're here. He's maybe somewhere over there, and I take Todd's phone and like put the camera on Todd, and I was like, all right, there's your picture with him, right? And I'm fucking around with him, right? And he's just like, you're a dick. And then after we get done with eating and stuff, we're gonna get ready to leave. And I looked at Todd. I was like, hey man, if you really want to meet him, like, I'll go see if I can make this happen. He's like, no, I don't want to bother him. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And our friend Wayne from Hatebreed was hanging out with Zakk. They were over there having a conversation together. And Wayne's a big friend of New Year's Day, right? We're all homies, and I've had Wayne's been here several times. I've known him. I've seen him around. So I used that as my way to get to Zakk, right? Respectfully, of course. It wasn't like I was trying to snake my way in.
Of course.
But I walk over there and I was like, hey, because we had spoke to Wayne when we walked in originally for catering. He sees us, oh, hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing, man? You know, shake hands, whatever. And so I went back over to say bye. I was like, hey, Wayne, it's good to see you, man. You know, he's like, oh, man, you too, brother. We shake hands. And then I think, his friends were with him. I was like, yeah, it was good to meet you guys too. And I looked at Zach, and I was wearing, I remember I was wearing a shirt that says "Kill All Pedophiles," right? And Zach earlier that day had seen me, because I was going with Ash to the media tent to do interviews and such. And as I'm going in with her, him and his tour manager are coming out. And he sees my shirt. He's like, hey, brother, nice shirt. And I was like, thanks, man. And that was it. He walked that way, and I walked that way. And that was all to be said about it. So whenever I approached Wayne to say, hey, man, see y'all later, and I spoke to Zach, I was like, hey, man, it was good to see you again, man. And he's like, yeah, man, right on, brother. Dude, that's a nice shirt. I love that shirt. And I was like, oh, yeah, man, fuck yeah, dude, appreciate it. I was like, well, man, it was good seeing y'all. See y'all later. And I went to step away, and I was like, actually, Zach, real quick, man. He's like, what's up, man? I was like, I don't want to be that guy, last person to be this person. But I said, one of my crew guys is a big fan, has been a long-time fan of yours, really, really wants to, have the opportunity to maybe just say hello, if that's cool with you, maybe take a photo. He's like, dude, absolutely, no problem. And I turn around, I was like, Todd. And Todd's like, oh my God. Like bewilderment. And so the rest of the guys that were with us, New Year's Day guys, we all come over, to make it not quite as awkward. And so I was like, hey, Todd, man, this is Zach. Like I'm introducing him like he needs an introduction, right? I'm like, Todd, this is Zach Wild, man. Zach, this is my friend Todd. And Todd's like, hey. And Zach's like, what's up, brother? And Todd's wearing a San Diego Chargers uniform. He's a San Diego Chargers fan before they moved to LA. And apparently Zach struck up a conversation with him. He's like, what you think about him going to LA, huh? And Todd's like, fucking sucks, and they had a little conversation about that, and I let them kind of have their moment for a second. And then being the tour manager, being the guy that knows when to cut things off or knows when to, all right, let's go and move to the next phase of this, I was like, Todd, man, let me go and grab that camera, man. Let's get a photo. And stood back, and Zach's like, no, man, I want to take a photo. And he grabs it, and they do a selfie. And then, again, not to make it awkward, Ash, New Year's Day, she was like, why don't we all get a big photo? So then we all got a big photo together. And that was basically it. We all said, goodbye to everybody, and we walked out the tent. And Todd was another one of those. He's now a bigger balloon. He's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it wasn't until we get all the way like away from everything where he blows up, and he's literally like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It was so awesome. Yeah, thank you. So, long rapid fire question answer. That was one of my most recent memories of being one of my favorites. Was giving him the opportunity to meet somebody he looked up to for his whole life.
That's so awesome.
Right?
And at least for his sake, at least he had the capacity to wait till after he left.
For all of our sakes, because I strive to keep the image of whoever we're representing professional.
Right.
And so I live by the idea of acting like you've been there before, which is kind of where, saying some of these stories I said earlier, faking it until you make it. It was just acting like I've done it before, man. Like, yeah, I can book that band, no big deal. I can book a bigger band for you, no problem. So that was something that was instilled in me when I was playing football in high school. My coach would always be like, always act like you've done it before. And it's just always something that stayed with me. So it's always just about keeping your composure.
Right.
Even in situations where you're like so excited or you're so upset, just, hey man, shit, ain't no big deal. I do it all the time.
Business as usual.
Business as usual.
Well, speaking of musical icons, the next question is the bands or artists that you want to work with the most.
I kick myself in the ass every day. I had the opportunity to work for Scott Stapp, and I turned it down. Bro. Right? I turned it down because being a loyalist to who I'm with at the time, I was with From Ashes to New. I was touring with them, and we were on tour with Falling in Reverse and Ice Nine Kills, and New Year's Day was opening.
I remember that tour.
I was on that tour, and I was just working as Maddie's drum tech, and I was the band's lighting designer or lighting operator, or whatever you want to call it. I didn't design their light show. I just ran supplementary lights. But either way, while I was on that tour, the gentleman that was running monitors for Falling in Reverse, his name's Kyle. He is Scott Stapp's tour manager and front of house engineer. And Falling in Reverse's tour manager at the time, Bobo, he was their sound guy and tour manager. He was working with Kyle on Scott Stapp doing I think monitors or maybe something. I don't know. Either way, they approached me and they're like, hey man, we're needing a drum tech and like a lighting assistant, for Scott's upcoming tours. Or would you be interested? And like the fan in me was like, fuck yeah, I love Creed, I love Scott. We've crossed paths before then too, so like I'd already had the chance to meet him and work with him indirectly. But I really wanted to do the tour and the details, the pay and all that stuff was really awesome as well. It was a very well paid tour. But I'd already committed myself to From Ashes to New. And when I asked for the dates kind of coincided with each other, so I was like, fuck, I can't do it. So I unfortunately had to pass. But I guess just because they're one of my favorite bands, Creed would, or any of the Incarnations, Alter Bridge, or Tremonti's solo stuff, I would love to work with them. Foo Fighters is another big one. Fortunately, I get to play some jams tomorrow with the Foo Fighters tribute here at Hooligans. Yeah, any of those kinds of bands, Foo Fighters, Creed,
Were you at Hooligans at the time that Scott Stapp played here?
I don't think I was here for that one. I think I was when he came to Ziggy's by the Sea too, and I think I was there for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen him perform a few times, but just not here.
Right. Oh, here we go. Most embarrassing moment at work.
All right. Okay, so I don't want to name the name of the band, but it was when I was at Ziggy's, and if you know, you know. I was at Ziggy's, and this particular band was there. The singer was not at the time. He was late.
As singers are.
Most of them are. Shout out Ash Costello. Always late, perpetually.
Tisk, tisk.
Anyways, I had the unfortunate duty of being the person to go out in front of everybody and tell them that he was going to be late. It was already a disgruntled crowd because at that point it was already late. This band should have already been on. And I remember walking out. I don't know how the fuck I got deemed with this task, but I remember walking out there, right, and I was just like, hey, everybody. They're like, woo, woo, you're not who we're here to see. I was like, fuck. I ain't even said anything yet. I was like, hey, look, we all know, look, I just want everybody to know plane just landed. Sorry for the inconvenience. He's on his way, blah, 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 blah. And it's literally like getting stabbed repeatedly. I was just like, oh, I get it. I'm sorry. Boo, get off stage. Fuck you. Fuck you,
Did anybody throw anything at you?
I don't remember. I think I was just kind of like, all right, bye. And I get out of the way. But it ended up working out, I guess. I mean, it was 1,000 people in the club. It was a sold-out show. And it's kind of embarrassing, I guess, to have to be that guy, to go up there and be the bad guy. Even though I wasn't the bad guy, I was just the fucking messenger.
You don't shoot the messenger.
Please, they shot the fuck out of me, man. Oh my God, I left with so many holes.
Next question. Dream concert bill to book at Hooligans.
Man, we dreaming big. How big we dreaming, man?
As big as possible.
I don't know, man. I guess it would just be a fucking compilation of my favorite bands.
Creed?
Creed would probably be on it, right? Yeah, I'm going to call Scott. We're going to get this reunion going. All right,
go,
Scott,
man.
Mark, let's go. Call Brian, call Flip. Let's get this shit going, man.
It's been 10 years.
Has it been
people.
10 years?
Oh, yeah.
I saw their farewell tour down in House of Blues Myrtle Beach, and I want to say 2009. Was it? If that's the case, it was longer.
That was their reunion tour.
Was it reunion?
Because they did reunion tour because they put out Full Circle in 2009.
Yes.
And then they did anniversaries for My Own Prison in 2012, and they played like My Own Prison and Human Clay.
How did I fucking miss that? I must not be as big as fan as I thought. Sorry.
I didn't see the show. I didn't see Scott Stapp until he was here. I never saw Creed.
It's crazy. I saw them, though. I saw them there. I remember catching a Mark Tremonti pick. I was like right there, and very rarely, especially these days, and if anybody that's close to me, my friends, they know that I don't like, sorry, there's somebody revving an engine outside. I'm sure you can't hear it, and they're going to fix it in post, but fuck that guy. Little dick bitch. Anyway, but I remember like being right there, and I'm not that guy. Like I enjoy concerts. I really enjoy going to a lot of them. But at the point that I'm in now, it's weird for me to be in the audience. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. I know it kind of sounds pretentious or like I'm too good for that, but it's not the case at all. It's just a personal preference. At this point, I've seen so much, been a part of so much that like I don't want to be in the middle of all those people. You know, sometimes you'll see me get in a pit once in a while, like very rarely. I'll get down there, but I usually like to watch stuff from side stage, or I like to watch stuff from front of house, you know. But yeah, it was a really fun show, that Creed one. So Creed would be on that bill. Foo Fighters, rest in peace, Taylor. They'd be on the bill. It'd be an eclectic bill, man, because I'd throw some crazy stuff at her. I like Yellow Wolf a lot. Yellow Wolf, I'd throw him on that motherfucker. Jelly Roll, put Jelly Roll on that bill. Lamb of God would fall in there somewhere. Caskey, I'd put Caskey on this motherfucker too. Fuck it, man. We're just gonna have a fucking party. Limp Bizkit would probably be on it.
Let's do it.
All right, that's what's gonna happen. 4th of July, America's birthday. You're gonna catch Lamb of God with Creed, Foo Fighters, Yellow Wolf, Caskey, Jelly Roll, all right there on Hooligan stage, right in there. You can't see it because it's off camera, but believe me, it's right there. We're making it happen.
I'd buy those tickets.
Yeah, they're only gonna cost $6,000 each.
Put it on my tab.
Okay. All right, you owe us $6,000 now.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. All right, what's up? What's next?
Favorite concert you've been to that wasn't one of your own?
Now, does one of my own count as ones that I've been a part of on a touring side where, like, say, New Year's Day was playing a festival?
Yes, that counts.
That counts? Fuck. Probably the Creed one, man. That was one of my favorites just because grew up with that band, knew every song, knew every... If Scott Phillips croaked tomorrow and they needed somebody to play drums, here I am. Let's go. I don't even give a fuck. I know every one of those songs, dude. Like that, dude. I don't know what that actually is, but that's how well I know these songs. I hope that does something to the audio when I do that. But no.
We'll see.
Creed.
I'll put an effect in there.
Okay, fucking make it like and left, right, left, right.
Do you have a favorite Creed song?
Weathered is one of my favorites, man. It's a huge comfort song. I don't know, like it's on my. I think it's on my top 5 most played songs. Creed's one of my most played artists. That's one of my most played songs out of all of them. And I want to say there was like 100,000 songs that I've listened to.
That checks out.
So it's up there. It's fact checked. Spotify proved it.
Hey, Spotify approved.
There it is. Yeah, but that's one of my favorite Creed songs for sure.
That was always one of mine too.
Yeah, Beautiful's another really good one.
I was gonna say Beautiful.
It's a really, really good song. Signs is another very good song. It's off of the Weathered album. Yeah.
But see, Weathered is such an underrated album because Hyde is another
Hyde's big.
Underrated banger.
What's This Life For is a really massive song, dude. We're gonna see. All right, so listen.
This is a Creed.
This is turning into a Creed fanfare. We're sorry to anybody that doesn't agree, but you can suck my balls, like I said earlier, respectfully. I'm ruining your channel's gonna get so many dislike buttons.
You know
like,
what?
That guy was so profane, dude. You should censor it. You should like go in there and just put like a bloop, bloop.
Next question.
Next question.
Favorite thing to do outside of work?
Sleep. Hands down.
That's
Sleep,
a good one.
eat. Sometimes I take a shit, and it's great. No, realistically, I do enjoy my sleep because I don't get a lot of it, especially when we're busy.
Oh, yeah.
Sleep's few and far between for me. Sometimes I don't even know how I operate. People have told me, like, dude, you were literally just here. Why are you already here again? You know, like, I'm the first guy. Like I said, I'm the first guy here, last guy to leave 9 times out of 10, especially on show days. And when we have 4 or 5 in a row, dude, I'm getting maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep, maybe a night. And that's a big maybe. I enjoy playing Call of Duty or Xbox in general. I've got a few buddies that I pal around with, and yeah, I like hanging out, just kind of chilling, man. Like, the slower I can live my life outside of the fast-paced like industry, the better. So I kind of just do this like a total opposite.
That's
here,
what's up.
Here you'll see me like I mean, you've been here for shows. You see me go. I am a sloth.
I feel so bad sometimes when I try and talk to you, and I just see you going there, then there,
Yeah,
then the other place.
that brings up a good point. I really want anybody that's going to see this that maybe comes to Hooligans, and for you as well. I don't mean any disrespect. I don't mean it. If it feels like I'm blowing you off, it's not the case. Unless you think it's the case, then yeah, fuck you.
Then it probably is.
Then it probably is. The shoe fits where, right? 9 times out of 10, though, I'm on a mission. I'm going here, I'm going there. And, you know, at this point, you know, if you've made it this far in this interview, you know I wear a lot of hats. I got a lot of things going on, so I don't really always have the time to stop and talk. So, yeah. So sorry if I've offended.
No.
And sorry if I've offended. Not really. I'm not really sorry.
And the last question, your favorite moment of your career thus far?
Man. There's so many like really big moments. I want to say one of the highlights, I can't say it's my favorite moment, but one of the highlights was having the opportunity to, whenever we went to Aftershock Festival with New Year's Day, being able to go on stage with Heartsick. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Heartsick.
A little bit.
There's some friends that I've booked here before. We've become friends during the process, and they played Aftershock. Jelly Roll had to cancel, so they got to play his slot as well. So they opened up the festival, and then they played again later, and they let me go on stage with them and yell into a microphone for a few bars, and that was kind of cool.
That's what's up.
That was really cool. I guess the highlights of any of my experiences, you know, going to Europe was a big one. Being able to tour Europe with New Year's Day. Pre-COVID, we were in Europe when COVID happened. That's not a favorite moment, by the way. It just kind of happens to fall in my brain at the time. We were in Europe when COVID started, and we had to cancel a bunch of shows and get the fuck back over here. But before that, Europe was really fun. It was otherworldly, I guess you could describe it. It was just makes you not take things for granted over here, especially pre-COVID world, man. You had access to whatever you wanted to hear at any time, and like over there, shit ain't open like that. Shit ain't always available like that.
Yeah.
But it was still cool, you know, getting to see some of the historic places in the world. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorites, being able to do that. We toured over there with Hailstorm and In This Moment together.
Wow.
I had Thanksgiving in a castle in London one year.
Jeez.
That was kind of cool. It was fun.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I gotta make it to Europe one of these years.
Hey, come on.
We gotta go to Ireland.
Yeah, you're Irish?
Half Irish, half Italian.
That's fucked. Literally. That's literally fucked.
Well, on that note, that was that was everything I had for you for
on.
this round.
For sure.
I had a blast talking with
Hey,
you, man.
Pleasure's mine.
Was there any closing message, any plugs you want to make for any fans watching?
I guess in the sake of hooligans, man, visit hooliganslive.com. The website's not there, but that's how you spell hooligans, and then you just put live on the end of it, .com. And that'll take you right to our website. You can see all the shows we have coming up. Buy tickets straight from there. Any information that you need is usually right there. If you need questions answered, you can always hit up the Facebook page or the Instagram page or call us directly. I'll never answer the phone, but you can call it. Yeah, just come to a show, man. Support live music, support small businesses, support me, support guys like this. You know, keep this train rolling, man.
Once again, I want to thank you for your time. But on another note, an extended thank you for not just for keeping live music around in Jacksonville and the surrounding area, but also for giving us a place to do what we do, because I'm sure some promoters will probably be like, no, you got to take this somewhere else.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties you've helped me with, other people probably wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate it, and the support goes both ways.
Hey, man, thank you so much. It was a fun time, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Keep this train rolling. Come to a show.
And until the next video, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.
Dead noise, baby.
Dead noise.